All right, here we are at Chit Chat Photo Booth Podcast with Coach Sharon, and today I'm joined by my friend Chris, and we are going to delve in deep about our health and wellness as busy entrepreneurs, photo booth owners. Let's talk about you, Chris, and talk about where you're from, how we met, those types of things.
Hi, thank you for having me. First of all, we met. I'm Kristin Fields. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for 20 years. I work in long-term care, and I have been transitioning to functional nutrition and lifestyle medicine. And we actually met in DC at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, the International Conference for Nutrition and Medicine. So now I've met you at the first one I attended last year, and now I attended again this year. So
Yeah.
that's how we met.
And so we all talk about our photo booth events. This is an event that I absolutely love to do. I've been working with that um, organization. Oh, I want to say 6-7 years now. And every time I go, I just get so much knowledge. I meet so many amazing people, and I learn a lot. I really do. I learn a lot every single time I go. Even though we're busy doing the photo booth, but just the people that stop by and talk to you. It's a 3-day conference. There are workshops, keynote speakers, some phenomenal keynote speakers. Podcasts are being recorded. There's a bookstore with a wealth of resources. There's tables set up with lots of resources. And then the organization that puts it on itself has a lot of resources that we can tap into. A lot of them are free that we can tap into and just get educated. We can join support groups and things like that. And those are things that we need because we are doing so much labor intense things with our businesses, but also the hours that we're putting in that a lot of times we seem to neglect our nutritional health. And so I thought Chris would be a great person to bring on, because not only do I want to talk to photo booth owners and what we go through, on a day to day and pricing and things like that, but I want to talk about how we can end up doing this for a long time because we're taking care of our bodies. So, what inspired you to get into the functional nutrition? And what is functional nutrition? I was reading, and I was like, okay, but focusing on food as medicine.
Well, with functional nutrition, the easiest way to put it is it's focusing on not just with illness, not just masking things with medicine, but actually getting to the root cause of what's going on and why we're sick in the first place, so we can eliminate the cause so that we can actually feel better.
Yeah.
Using food as medicine, not that you never need pharmaceuticals, but not as the first line of defense, because they're just going to quiet down the symptoms and not get to the root. So you want me to how
Yeah.
I got here?
Yeah. How did it inspire you? Yeah. What inspired you to go in this direction?
Well, I've been a bedside nurse for 20 years in long-term care. So I get to see people in their day-to-day, how food affects them, how their medication affects them. And I've had a couple of instances where I've seen somebody that was on a ton of pharmaceutical drugs, maybe a pill for every system, stop taking those medications because maybe their dementia advanced or whatever the case. They stopped eating the way they would normally eat when they were feeling better, and then they stopped taking their medication. And I had one woman who was in her late 90s taking a cup full of medication, slowly stopped doing that. She went 2 years with zero medication. She
Wow.
had fallen, she fractured her knee. She had a kidney stone, but still in all that, maybe a little Tylenol, but 2 years without the pills that she was probably taking for years and years. And she also did better without those pills. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, the system is set up in a way that instead of it being a actual healthcare system, it's a sick care system. And that is what through my own journey, my own health journey is what led me here. Like I was a nurse. Initially, well, sorry, let me back up a little bit. I didn't start off nursing. I actually taught kindergarten, first and second grade for 6 years. And I was, prior to that, when I got out of college, I was in the Army for a short period of time. And that's where some of my health issues started. I started having women's health troubles. I had an ovarian cyst rupture, which is a very painful experience if you've ever had that, just extreme pain. That, and then I started having a lot of digestive issues, probably when I went off to college and
Yeah.
started eating more on my own. When I was young, I don't know how old you are. I'm not, we were little. McDonald's was a treat.
Treat.
It
I was
had
just
to make
thinking that.
you got happy because you didn't get it all the time. And we didn't grow up eating fast food every day. And
No.
there weren't as many options in the
No.
supermarkets. And then even if there were, me, myself, I didn't grow up with, having access to whatever I wanted, whenever I
No.
wanted. We got to eat what was in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't like it is now,
You're
unfortunately.
right. You're right. I was thinking the same thing because I look at my son and how he eats, and I'm like, we didn't eat like that. Like you said, McDonald's was a treat. I remember like the feeling you would get going into McDonald's because this is not something that you do every day. Now some people that's what they eat all day. You know,
And
and
hey, I am some people.
me
I
too.
I
But
did
you should
that.
see my DoorDash account. It's a
I've
bit
eaten.
ridiculous.
So my 20s and 30s, when I was at my worst, I was eating any and everything, and I love food. My favorite food was ice cream, pizza,
Mhm.
everything not good for me. And I was having issues, but never relating it to the food that I was eating. I was
Right.
drinking a ton of Pepsi. I grew up, there's a pizza parlor down the street. I don't know about you, but now and latest candy, chocolate, cookies, pies, everything. I ate it.
I lived at the corner store.
Yep, me too. The only exercise, I got, but we were also outside.
Yeah.
We played. I stayed outside from the time I could be outside till that one street light,
That's right.
came on. But and then we would eat in the summers. We get the lunch in the park, which was,
Yep.
looking back now, was some milk, uh, some not good lunch meat, the cheese, and I grew up too eating that.
Yep.
That
I remember my
those
grandmother
grills, those
used
can
to,
that
yeah,
stuff.
my grandmother used to walk us to the school because I used to spend every summer in New York in Queens. And during the summer, they kept like you said, they kept the food program going so that kids would still have nutrition throughout the summer. So you would still go up there and grab you a lunch. You could eat at the school and then go back and continue playing. But I thought that was such a good program to keep the kids eating through the summer, even though there was no class. So
It
yeah,
was, and it was good, and those things still exist, and they still need it. We just need to change what we're
they're
giving them.
serving.
And like, so
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. What would you say is the biggest challenge, through your 20 years of nursing? What would you say is the biggest challenges regarding standard American diet and its impact on health?
I said, breathe deep. Okay. So it's just, I guess, as I've learned in the past couple of years, learned more to equate the sickness with the diet, and I see how we feed our elders, our children, and everybody, how mostly everybody eats. Unfortunately, you see a direct connection in that we're making ourselves sick.
Mhm.
And we're also taught, the way we're taught to eat is just wrong.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
and that I get to see, people start off, even I've had people come into, like, I work in long-term care. So unfortunately, you see people come into a long-term care setting, and there's just things that we have to do. We have to feed them breakfast, lunch, dinner in ways that is not necessarily, every part of eating is being hungry, and people aren't always allowed a chance to be hungry. And then we're
Yeah.
not always given the best options in our food choices. And then one of the biggest and hardest things for me, and I still go, this is where I work every day. me knowing things that I can maybe do to help a person's condition that I see that would involve them not eating a food or
Yeah.
adding some things. Maybe instead of adding a pill, if somebody's deficient in something, we add better food options.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the hardest things for me to deal with right now. And that is also what's inspiring my shift. It's because I want to be in a position where I can actually help people reverse and prevent illness. So
Mm.
that's, I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, and what you said, it's the food is different. How the food is processed, I feel, is different. So that causes us to eat different. Plus, we have to talk about the cost of food. You know, I remember standing on the line with my grandmother going to get the cheese and the milk and that type of
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
And
we got all that. I grew up with all that because I grew up. Well, I didn't answer where I'm from. I'm in New Jersey. I grew up in Essex County, New Jersey, Orange, East Orange, Newark, and yeah. So I definitely played outside in the summers. I grew up eating that. We say government cheese, all that
mhm,
stuff. The jam and the jelly in the can. Grew up eating that stuff,
yep,
and but it was even that was better than what's going on
right
right now.
now. Exactly,
It really
exactly.
is because
But like
now
you were
we're not
talking about the whole food and like people. Well, clearly the first time I heard of the word whole food was when the store opened. And I still, honestly, when people say whole food, that's what I think of is the store. I have no idea what a whole food is. And
it's
I can't wait for you to tell me.
Whole
I have no
Foods
idea what a
are
whole
just foods in their most natural state when you pull them out of the ground. Like because as soon as you start doing anything to it, it's processed. Like,
food. Mm,
and there's levels of processing. And the thing that's rampant in our diet now is the ultra processed package foods because they're not foods. They're food like substances. If anything that has a package and a list of ingredients, it's not in its natural state.
mm,
And your body, it also, when you read a label, they don't have to tell you what went into their processing. They
right.
list the ingredients, which a lot of them aren't good because there's chemicals that your body doesn't know what to do with.
Yeah.
And there's just a ton of things in these products that are harmful. So I like to say a lot of people when we eat things, we go out to eat, we might know that that burger, that pizza or whatever it is not that good for us.
Hmm.
Just like a lot of the packaged stuff, you know inherently that, this probably isn't good for me, but do you know how bad it is for you?
Yeah.
It's the things that you're doing that are every day causing harm that you don't realize.
Yeah.
And then one day you go to the doctor and they give you, you're sitting like a young woman sitting in the doctor's office because she just had her mammogram. That's a whole nother
I
topic.
know.
That she just had her mammogram and now she's going to be treated as a patient, a cancer patient possibly, and with nobody addressing what it took her to get there.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like, and then once you get a diagnosis like that, now you're in the system. So now you have the standard American diet making you sick, and then you have standards of care that the doctors have to follow at that's not set for your wellness. And
Right.
there's so much that goes into it. And I spent like my 20s and 30s going to urologists, gynecologists, urogynecologists, gastroenterologists, all different doctors to fix all the problems I was having, and everything came back to what I was eating. Like I didn't mention that I've been 100 pounds heavier than I am today.
Hmm.
I I'm 5'3", and at my heaviest, the heaviest I allowed myself to get on the scale is 220. And
Okay.
yeah, it's not fun, and because I've been heavy, like I've been anywhere from a size 8 to now 18. It's not fun being heavy. And I know we don't want to body shame or any of that, but it's not good for you. And at my heaviest, if at any point, if there was a magic pill to fix what I was going through, I probably would have taken it.
Yeah.
And, but it wasn't about just about my size. I was sick. At my heaviest, I was sick. I had something wrong with every part of me.
Yeah.
I've been under general anesthesia at least 17 times. Some
Wow.
of those surgeries to remove parts that should have been working had I known what was damaging them. And it all comes down to, like I said, the food.
Yeah.
And through that journey, none of the doctors really figured out what was wrong with me. They might have given me diagnosis, but they didn't figure it out. And I had something, when I say wrong, with every system. I had cystic acne. I had reflux. Like every time I ate, I vomit or the other end.
Yeah.
And I had bloating. I had brain fog. I had joint pain. I had all of that. And the biggest issue I had was with something called interstitial cystitis, which is an inflammation of the bladder. And I was having a reaction to a food, and I was going to doctors for years. I dealt with this for 13 years. And to put it in perspective, at the peak of my problem, I was having to use the bathroom upwards of 90 times a day. It ran my,
Wow.
and I was in pain. I had 5 surgeries for that, lots of medications, nothing helped. What helped is me identifying the source of the biggest cause of my problem, I believe. Like I've had doctors tell me that that might be like that maybe that really wasn't the cause, what I feel it was. And for me, that was removing gluten for me changed my life.
Wow.
Years going to doctors for them telling me you don't have celiac, gluten is not a problem. And I knew that it was a problem because every time I ate it, everything got worse. I removed it for a couple of weeks. My trips to the bathroom went to less than half of what they were. My skin cleared up. My bloating got better. Everything got better.
Yeah.
And introduce it back, everything come back.
Wow.
It's not, and no doctor suggested that to me. I figured it out one day because I was watching something on Dr. Oz, and I said, oh,
Mm.
Bill Davis wrote the book Wheat Belly, and he made me do a little experiment with myself, but it was more about weight loss, wasn't even about my pain. And through that, I found pain relief. And that made me do some research, led me to another book, to another. And it's not like I went, stopped eating it altogether,
Mhm.
but I did for a long, like for 8 months, and things got better. Then my birthday came, I wanted pizza. I ate that pizza, and then it was a backward slide. And then I also, over the years, I've learned that dairy and gluten do
Mm.
some of the same things. So if you have a problem with gluten, gluten and dairy, those are the two. One of the things I learned in my nutrition program, there's 3 things that you might want to remove from the diet if you're having any digestive issues. The top 3 inflammatory things are gluten, dairy, and sugar. Those things, if you want to feel better, you remove. And
What food is considered? Is that bread, wheat? What is
it's
gluten?
gluten is the protein in wheat that makes everything, this makes it stretchy. So
Okay.
that's why when you have the people eat gluten-free foods, they're not as chewy and they don't taste so good. I mean, but even in saying that, people, when gluten-free, you really should be eating just more whole foods. So when you do that, you crowd a lot of that out because gluten comes in most processed packaged things. You can't
Yeah.
avoid it.
Yeah.
And even if you get into gluten-free things, there's then chemicals and different things that your body doesn't know what to do with. And like myself, I've eliminated everything that I know to be, that I've tested for, that's caused me issue, but there's
Mhm.
still things I react to. And I guess that's a big thing, is that people also need to do, is listen to their bodies.
Yeah. 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 Well, a little bit about us as far as the type of entrepreneurs photo boothers are. Some of us are full time. Some of us are. This is our side business. So these are people that are working full time, and then they may leave their job and go do a photo booth job, or they don't never get a weekend because their weekends are filled with photo booth, and then they go right back to work. Our events are late at night sometimes, so we're up, and then grabbing whatever we can get on the road, and eating late at night. And then we're in events and we're served whatever food that the client picked. Here's your vendor meal, or oh, you can use, get the buffet. So you eat all types of different people's food, and you just don't know what you're getting all the time, but you got to eat. So that's kind of where we are when I want to ask this next question, which is many of us face a high level of stress, long hours. And from your perspective, what health challenges are most common among business owners, and how does poor nutrition play a role?
Well, I think with everybody out here that's working, surviving, trying to get things done, we all face a lot of stress. And that, what you just described, is most people's problems because everything is set up for us. The things that are quick to grab tend to not be the healthiest. So, with the lifestyle changes that I'm talking about, you kind of do have to, you're going to have to take a little bit more time to take care of yourself, because that's part of what I want to get out there, is that you have to try to change things before things become a problem, because once you know they're a problem, it's going to be that much harder to go back. So in that, the stress, the heart disease, the diabetes, everything, it's all different versions of the same thing. It's poor metabolic health. It's the body not being able to deal. Like if you're stressed and if you're always in a flight mode, your body's not working the way it's supposed to work. And then, like you said, we're bombarding it with different chemicals, things that aren't nutritious. So it's to educate yourself to things. One, you got to slow down, because if you drop dead, if you have a heart attack or stroke, no matter where you are in that place of work, life is going to go on. People gonna some going to step over you and keep it, they're going to keep moving. People worry about you, wonder how you are for a little while, but they're going to go about their life. So we all have to empower ourselves to not get caught up in that, and know that those choices that we make, that stress level, all that we're living, is what is going to lead to the disease.
Right.
And especially that stress, when we don't find ways to release and take care of ourselves, that's cancer. That's where things come from. It's not, everything matters. And also, people to understand with certain things, like you want to believe that moderation is all right if I'll just have a little this, a little that. But the body keeps a record of everything, and everything matters. There is no, I'll just have a bite. That's why some people can be sitting at the table for Thanksgiving and have that stroke or heart attack after that one more thing, because I heard there's a doctor that he speaks to everybody having a bucket, and everybody's bucket, we can take all these things in, but at some point everybody's bucket overflows or explodes reacting to something else. Like everybody is different. What you can take, I might not be able to deal with. Plus, our bodies are all different. Like our genes are important, but what we do, the food we put in us, the things we put on us, the things that are around us, everything matters. And that's also one thing that people can do, is that stress reduction, whether it's meditation, music, finding things that you can help you release and relax. That's just as important. And the thing is, why the food is one of the number one things that impact our health, is because it's what we do the most. We eating all day long. And it's not just, like I said, not that we're just not eating things that are bad for us, they're not good for us. So where you can look to make differences, grab more of those things that are good for you. Have those places, have some of that conversation when you're negotiating. Make sure there's some healthy things around. And if you demand, I think people demand, change is coming. It's because people are more aware, especially after everything we've dealt with in the past couple years since 2020. That's another thing that we don't talk about, and that I've been able to see firsthand, being in long-term, working in a nursing home. I get to see that how people were before 2020
Yep.
and how people are after. And COVID didn't just come killing everybody. It's that people were sick already, and COVID sped up all of our inflammatory processes.
Yeah.
It's still happening. It's actively happening right now. It's not going anywhere. And we have to look at all that. We have to take control. We have to acknowledge the things that we've done to get us in the state. Yes, it's not, the environment is not set up for our health, and yet access to healthy foods. And that's part of why I want to be speaking about it, so that we can do better. Because
Yeah.
we have to, make the access there. So actually, my business partner, she's a farmer, and we're looking to make change so that people do have access to the healthier foods. And there is a whole movement going on, like in New York. If you're in New York in the hospital, you get a plant-based meal as a default meal. And
Uh,
there's changes going on. They're trying to make changes in the school system, because there's things that we force upon our children every day that are harmful, like dairy. For example, there's no person that needs the milk of a cow. And you spent time at the conference. Like, it's not just me saying this. The science is there, the books, you can do your own research. You can go to nutritionfacts.org, or like YouTube is full of information that, if you're looking for, like, yes, there's a lot of propaganda out there, and people want to make money, so people will say anything. And I guess that's a lesson too, is that when you go into the store, anything on a package, it's marketing. It's not health information. The
mm,
labels, it's because people want to sell you their product because they want to make money. They don't care about your health. You have to read the labels, and even better, stay away from foods that have labels, that have packaging. But it's crazy. We even put things that are in a package, like bananas, inside packaging. And then that's exposing things to even more chemicals. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. Woo.
I'm sorry.
All
It's
right.
And like I said, I learn more every day, but I'm intentional about it. 20 years in nursing, nobody's ever talked to me about these things.
Yeah.
It's me going and seeking them out because I was so sick, and no doctor helped me with the things. Now, let me not say that no doctor helped me in my sicknesses get through the whatever was going on, and I've had a lot go on,
Hmm.
but they didn't help me get to the root of the problem. No doctor told me to go gluten free. No doctor told me to remove dairy because it's inflammatory or does the same thing as gluten in my body anyway. And from what
Right.
I see, like I said, in long term, I get to see people in their day to day in ways that most people don't. So I can see, like, somebody eat this and this happened.
Yeah.
And you see people's illnesses on them,
Mhm.
especially after 20 years.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, it's a
And
lot.
they said, you are what you eat.
You are what you eat, absolutely. And that's actually a good Netflix documentary.
Hmm.
And that you are what you eat, that twin study, because it shows, like, directly that it's not just genes. You can have two people, identical genes, grow up in the same household, different food choices, exposed to different things, they're going to have different health outcomes.
Right.
Dr. Gardner talks about that, and he's in that documentary. Um, yeah, there's a lot to learn, and it's unfortunately doctors aren't taught this information, and that's part of what the change needs to be as well. The change needs to be in medical schools, because doctors right now only get a couple hours of nutrition training, and they say that the doctors I work with, the doctors that we meet there, like everybody, and a lot of us that are on this side that have turned into lifestyle medicine and functional medicine, it's because we've had our own journeys, our own health issues, and we've got to see, because of what we've gone through trying to heal ourselves, that it's the food.
Yeah.
And so
I know. I know. I tell you, I learned so much there. I look forward to being there all the time because every time I go, I learn something new. But one of the things that always sticks out, because you mentioned it about the dairy thing, and the first time I was there, I was like, it's because I couldn't remember. I was like, did they say dairy bad? Is it good? Is it don't eat it? Don't. But then I remembered the props, and it's always fruits and vegetables. And when people would come, they would get so excited. And I said, tell my foldable friends, I was like, I don't know why they get so excited over these fruit props. So then when I told them what I did this year, which was I went on Amazon and I found the costumes with the fruit. I said, oh, they're gonna lose their mind on this.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
Now next year we need strawberries and we need some peppers. One lady, she was like, "Can you bring a tofu costume?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna look for a tofu."
That would be fun.
But
And
yeah, I
that's
didn't
like
realize because people always tell you drink milk, growing up, and that's what they serve us in school, milk.
again, that's marketing. And Dr. Bernard, he tells us, that's why those milk mustache commercials and advertisements went away, because we can't say that, because milk doesn't do a body good.
Good, yeah.
You don't need that. You can get your calcium from your green leafy vegetables and things.
And in my grandma's house, only things that was in the refrigerator was water. Well, actually, you got it from the tap. Milk. She always kept 2 gallons of milk. They might make some Kool-Aid. Apple juice was a luxury.
Kool-Aid, where you pouring the sugar, we pouring.
Yes. We had Kool-Aid, milk, and tap water. That's it. We didn't have sodas. Growing up, there was no sodas in grandma's house. You got a soda, you went somewhere. Like we went to dinner and you got a soda at dinner. Or you went to the corner store and you got a sandwich and you could get a soda, But as far as like at home, no.
It wasn't an extra big soda. It was regular size. And that's the other thing, is everything we do is
extra large.
And I think about how many times I sat at the Cheesecake Factory and just so excited. I sat for hours to wait to get these big, huge portions. And then we get in dessert. And even there's so many places that can be wrong. But we eat in excess. Everything is in excess, and it's just not good for us. And for me, when we talk about the weight loss, it said I have been a whole 100 pounds heavier. And people always ask, like, well, how long did it take you to lose the weight? It wasn't a linear journey. I was up, I was down, I was here, I was there. I have one daughter who's 19, but for a little while I can't even blame her, because after I had her, I lost weight, then gained, been up and down. But for the past couple of years, since I've been more knowledgeable about nutrition and whole foods, I'm kind of, you don't have to work at it. Your body is complex, but it's amazing. And it just wants to be in balance. And if you give it a healing environment, it can heal. And with that kind of comes the weight that you should be at.
Okay. Well, this next question, because you were kind of explaining it to me when we were at the conference, but can you explain the concept of food as medicine and how entrepreneurs can use this approach to not only stay healthy, but also improve their business performance? Because for me, and this is so funny, when we do events, it's usually like 3 days, go hard, and then it's nothing, right? And so if I have events like this weekend is one of those weekends where we work real hard for like 2 or 3 days, and then watch Monday. Monday I'm gonna be like this, and people are like, "What you got? Eventitis? Like what's wrong? You got event sickness, And it's because you just wear yourself out. And I feel like if we were eating properly, if our nutrition was on point, we would have the energy to do our jobs, but we wouldn't come down so hard after working like that.
You're right. Also, I want to say something too. I do not have it all together. I am figuring it out as I go myself.
Yeah.
I can say when I first, because what started me being plant-based, because I've been plant-based since 2017. That it's been a journey. And it started off with somebody planting a seed. One of my patients, her daughter, her name's Colleen Patrick Godot. She's at Joyful Vegan on Instagram. She gave me some of her books And I was like, I'm not doing that. Not. I mean, even though over years I didn't eat red meat, I didn't eat pork for a little while. I've been pescatarian. The thought of not eating animal products altogether, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Um, but she gave me those books around Christmas 2016, and then January 3rd, 2017, I saw a clip from What the Health, and that clip led me to start watching a whole bunch of other documentaries,
Mhm.
and I went cold turkey the next day after watching that. I have From that point forward, I have never had flesh again.
Mm.
However, most people, what stops them from being more plant-based and is the cheese, is the dairy. Even though it's so funny how many people will say, well, I don't really drink milk, but you eat a whole bunch of cheese and
Yeah.
ice cream and other things, and people don't
Yep.
realize. And that's probably the number one thing. If you want to try to reclaim your health, the thing to get rid of more than anything is the dairy, because
Wow.
it's so inflammatory, and it's not for us. Like
Yeah. It's like eat that and then take this
it's
medicine to balance that. It's like it's never ending.
never gonna, and that's never gonna happen. It's never gonna, because it's a harmful product. It's for a baby cow to grow into a big cow, and there's no such thing as hormone free milk, because it is what it is. And people don't want to hear it. And I, like I said, pizza is one of my favorite foods, pizza and ice cream, but I just try to have different versions.
And that's
And
what I tell when I work the event, I know. But when I have my attendants work, they always try to feed us, right? And so I warned them. I said, because the food smells amazing, right? You're in there, you're working, you're like, what is for lunch, right? But I tell them, I said, now remember what type of conference this is. So when you go over there, it's going to be some different food items that you may not be used to. Like they used to, when we do events, what do people serve at events? Chicken,
number one,
baked vegetables, some mashed potatoes. Like that's what we're
it's
normally
basic stuff.
yeah, yeah. But
And
I
but
said,
you get to see at that conference that it's not just about salad and
no,
those mashed potatoes or baked potato and celery
yeah,
sticks. There's a whole world that could be made. And I have to tell people too, if I give you meat, if you but you don't use the plants, if you don't use the seasoning, you're not gonna want that meat. Like the
that's true.
plants is what gives that life, and you want the flavor. And if you can recreate the flavors and things,
Yeah,
and you got to know that if you really want to feel good,
yeah,
you're not going to achieve that with just eating whatever and taking pills. And then when you have an issue, you go to the doctor, and in that 10 minutes, the doctor's going to see you. They're going to figure out what's wrong with you.
no,
Because I did it. Like I said, I spent all my 20s, 30s, into my 40s going around to different doctors trying to get answers, getting tests, pills, potions, procedures, but no answers.
that's what I'm
I
doing
had
now.
to
I'm in that cycle.
take control. You have to take control of your health and realize that you got you here. Not
Yeah,
to place blame in that. Like I said, the system is set up, and what we're taught is that as we get older, we're gonna get sicker, we're gonna have more problems, and that's gonna be it. But it doesn't have to
have
be
to
like
be
that.
that.
Like
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
really live well and live to
Long.
100 at least, and you want to be able to be moving, because it's just the food. And I guess I don't know if I really answered your question about food as medicine, and just that's where you have to look
Mm-hmm.
to, like, pay attention to your body, and that if you eat something and you don't feel good after, don't eat that.
More.
And unfortunately too, with food, with allergies and sensitivities, unfortunately, you can eat something today and you not know it's bothering you or bad for you for a couple of days, and you're eating those things every day, you're
Mhm.
always going to feel not well.
Yeah,
And that's what autoimmunity, people react to different things. Once your body sees something as foreign and it's attacking it, it's going to always do that while that thing is present.
uh-huh.
And there's just so many things that food is medicine, is that food makes us sick, and food can has the power to make us well. And it's also removing the toxins. It is getting enough sleep, and that's somewhere where I struggle. I don't sleep all that great, but
I was gonna bring it. I know we're talking about food, but I was like, sleep got to be part
no,
of it.
it's lifestyle. Everything matters. And yeah, there's people, even exercise is important, but it's not everything, because you can't out train a bad diet. And there's people that appear to be healthy and fit on the outside, but inside is a whole nother story,
Sure.
because what you're eating matters. Like every bite matters. I'm been slowly writing my book, and that's gonna be my book title, is With Every Bite, because every bite does matter. And I was making myself sick with every bite. And I guess
Mm,
go back to where you said moderation kills, because if that food or that whatever it is harmful to you, the more you expose yourself to it, the worse it's gonna be.
yeah.
And what pharmaceutical drugs do is, like I said, masks
Ask it.
symptoms and quiets down your body's attempt to call for help.
Yeah.
And one of the analogies, something I like, that I've seen in functional medicine, lifestyle medicine, what they talk about at the conference, it's imagine that sink being stopped up and the faucet running and it running over into the floor,
Yeah.
and the room is flooding. We go get 100 people with mops to mop up the water. If you don't turn off the
Well,
faucet, you don't shut off the problem. And if you quiet the symptom, does not mean the problem is not occurring in the background. That's why people still have heart attacks and strokes and high blood pressure, all these things. And it's all connected. We're a whole person. It all matters. Like I said, our stress level, our sleep, our community, our relationships, just how we feel every day.
yeah.
Even waking up in the morning and deciding you're going to feel good
Yeah.
matters. Because if you wake up and you have a sniffle or something, you start paying attention to it. Even like this pain in my side, I'm trying to,
Yep.
not claim it, because the more I focus on it, the bigger it's going to get. And I still don't know what it is, but we're going to figure it out. So it's just every day being aware of you, your environment, staying calm, not letting things that are out in the world that you can't control sit with you,
Right.
because it's just going to eat you up. And then the food definitely, you can take a bite of something, and the things when your gut, that's the thing people don't realize. 70% of our immune system is in our gut. 70% of all disease starts in the gut. If your stomach is upset and you have digestive issues, the chance for you to have a whole bunch more issues are greater. And
Yeah.
people ignore that. And people are, their guts are messed up, they're depressed, they go to the doctor, you get a pill. Now you're gonna get a side effect from that pill, and it's
Yeah.
just a
Um,
whole snowball effect. And there's no
back
drug
in
that
4 months.
that doesn't have a side effect.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, this brings us to well, let's keep going with the medicine and food is medicine. Are there certain foods or nutritional strategies that you find are particularly effective for maintaining energy and focusing throughout the day?
It's like getting more nutrient dense stuff, things that are gonna be more filling, that are gonna last, and not
Yeah.
those fast treats. Like having stuff like I eat a lot of sweet potatoes, and I don't eat so much rice, but quinoa, and getting things that are like eating the rainbow, and making sure your environment is full of things that are good for you to snack on. You get nuts and things like that, not too many, because you can overdo that, even the healthy fats, but just making sure, because when your body is clear and working well, you're going to be sharper. And if you're sharper, you're going to be performing better, and you'll be able to be your best self and show up the way you need to show up, so that you can do everything you need to do. So that's where it benefits you in business, just and in life.
Yeah.
And then when you're better, everybody around you can be better too.
That's true. All
And
right.
part of what it's sad that what we do is there's more people dying, more people sick, more people having heart attacks and strokes, and then we go to the funeral, and then we go to the repast, and we're eating the same food that got the person in the casket. And that's what we need to change, because it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a good question because as you're talking, and you're saying all these things, and that's what usually is the delay. Is like it's so much, and that people don't know how to one break it down into bite-sized goals for themselves, but then also having accountability to go along with this too. Because if you're the only one in the house trying to change your lifestyle,
That's me.
everybody around you is coming in here with McDonald's and fried chicken and big things of soda, and you're like, don't you see me trying to, like, let's do this together? Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go eat my food and do what I do. So I would say, you know, how do you? Well, here, this is the question that we found. What Okay, so for busy entrepreneurs who doesn't have a lot of time to think about food, what are three particular steps they can take to, or practical steps they can take to make nutrition a priority without adding stress? Because as you're talking, I'm like, that's a lot of stuff I got to
I
check.
know, and that's kind of sometimes what holds me up is because there is so much information, but it's kind of just taking it down to the bite-sized pieces at one meal at a time. And first, like if you're gonna do this, you should take some steps and clean up your environment. Anything that's in your house that you shouldn't grab shouldn't be there, because
Mm.
why have it there?
Yep, I walk into that pantry every day. I'm like, oh my.
Because if
I
you
did clean it out a little bit last week because I was like, we only
if
need three
if
bags.
you stressed and you got M&Ms or that
Yep.
other thing,
Yeah.
what you gonna grab? So get rid of that. And then
Yeah.
also educating yourself on some of the things that are why these foods are harmful, and
Mhm.
seeing why you should get rid of them. Get rid of them. Not to say you can never ever have anything. I know I just said moderation isn't good, but if something Colleen told me, they gave me those books and planted those seeds. Like she said, don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Take some, they start somewhere,
Yeah.
decide, okay, I'm not going to eat meat, or even going back to those meatless Mondays, or somewhere to start. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to do everything, but for me,
Meatless Mondays. I like that.
I'm going to say, however, for me, like, you got to know that I know it's busy and people are like me. I'm always that one that's over here doing my own thing. The only one that has to have, talk to the chef or figure out what I'm going to eat when I go a place. Because mine's even a little bit more complicated because I have a lot of
Right.
allergies
Allergies.
too.
Mhm.
So for a long time, I thought it was just gluten, and I was
And-
gluten.
and you saw the new drug for that. They've been pushing that one on us all week long on the TV. The people, there's two friends going out to eat. One can just eat any old thing they want. The other can't. But they
How
have
about
a
nobody can?
Yeah,
And
they was like,
that's
you have this drug that you can take. It doesn't so like if you mess up, it's basically, so if you mess up, you eat the wrong thing, and then they show a child and you're like, oh God, I gotta get it because my baby might
and
eat
also
something
know
wrong.
that with all that advertising, only the United States and New Zealand do direct to consumer pharmaceutical advertising.
Yeah.
It should be it should be against the law the way they do it. I once had a patient of mine who was in bed watching TV. I had her count the pharmaceutical commercials and the drug ads and the fast food ads. It's crazy. Just in an hour.
Oh
It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
That's all it
But
comes
that's why you're each person educating themselves. Because
to.
at the end of the day, like when you go out to eat, if you're eating different from everybody else, like me, if you're sick and you're sick in bed by yourself, nobody else is there going through what you're going through. So
Mhm.
you have to make choices that are going to benefit you as an individual. We might follow a pack, but the pack at the end of the day, only one of us is in the casket at a time. Like, and people will go to your funeral and they'll, like I said before, they'll miss you, but they're gonna go about their business. You have to empower yourself and be, you can fix you.
Yeah.
Like that's and those, yeah, I'll just have this bite. But then, like for me, one bite of something can tear me up. So it
Yeah.
just became a point, it got to a point where it's not worth it for me to just have this slice of pizza, or I'm just going to have this cheese, or even taking the cheese off of a gluten-free pizza. I didn't know that one of the things I found out I'm allergic to is oats. And is it the oats itself or is it the chemicals? I don't know. And that's the thing too, is the food systems in the past 50 years, the chemicals that have come after the wars, they put all the chemicals into the herbicides and the pesticides, and we're eating all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the plastics, and there's so much. And it is a lot. But that's why you just decide like one thing to focus on, or even start there watching. There's so many documentaries that are good places, so that if what I'm saying is a lot, they can put it, you can see people's stories. And that's the thing too, is watching things and hearing other people's healing stories.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal for me. That to me is impactful, because maybe today you don't have a problem, but tomorrow you get a diagnosis, or your grandmother or your mother gets something that you think is devastating and terminal, when it's really not. If you just make some changes, you can make things better. Even I work with in a long-term care, almost everybody has dementia, and people
Mm-hmm.
think that's just genes. The
Yeah.
diabetes, heart disease, all these things we have to have because our genes say so, and the science says that's not true
No,
at
it's
all.
not. My
Dr. Dean
grandmother had it, and they said it was from clogged what she used to eat. It clogged her brain, and it was not hereditary. That it
It's
was from oils,
lifestyle.
and yeah, it was lifestyle.
Lifestyle. So Dr. Dean Ornish, she just published a study about the effects of intensive lifestyle change on Alzheimer's, and it's prevention. That's what you want to do. And unfortunately, the diets that we're eating, we're seeing these diseases are more prevalent. They're
Yeah.
starting younger. You're gonna have children that have heart disease. You're going to have teenagers having strokes and heart attacks because of the diet, the ultra processed foods, the diets that they're eating, the sedentary lifestyles, the stress that they're under. And
Mm-hmm.
we have to, so that's why the change has to even come in the elementary schools, but even, and our pregnant mothers, when the babies form, like everything matters. And like I said, I know it seems overwhelming, but you can just make small steps to make big change. And the thing is, once you start to feel better, you want to feel even better. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you're open to these things, more things are going to come into your life that'll help you, I believe, along the journey, because that's what's happened for me. And like I said, the documentaries like What the Health, there's Food Choices, Forks Over Knives, The Game Changers, some documentaries that show you the science and show you people's stories. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, if it, each one reach one, and because this is not information that the doctors are necessarily sharing, because not even that they don't want to, they just don't know it,
Yeah.
because they're caught up in it themselves,
Yeah.
in the system of it. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to share the knowledge I've gained, and I'm no expert at any one thing, I mean, other than my story, which is still ongoing. I'm still trying to figure out all the things that bother me. And then, like I said, again, in the past couple of years, the things with the food systems have gotten that much worse. Than we had COVID, and we had vaccines, and all of these things play a part.
Yeah.
And the toxins in the environment is a big deal. Or there's just there's a lot. And I'm not even gonna lie and say it's not a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
I've been intentional, like going, and even every day I'm looking for more, and every day I learn something. Like the more I learn, the more I feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
But we have to, that's the only way to fix this, is to educate ourselves. And then we have to fix our own food choices, and then we can't ignore what's going on in the world either. Like, I didn't get into it for the animals or the planet, but you can't ignore it. These hurricanes, what's going on in Florida, what's going on right now, that's not just acts of God. It's, we're pushing the environment in ways that it's not good. But we
Mm-hmm.
can make change, but it's everybody has to do it. We all have to educate ourselves. And we just saw in our community not that long ago, Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in our face. That happened. Nothing happened to him. It was the choices over the years, and he had lost weight, but it's a cumulative effect of what we do. And
Yeah.
that man's like, I'm 52. Like that's
Peer.
that's a peer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be like I have taken myself to the hospital thinking I'm having a heart attack, and then telling me it's what GERD-induced asthma, and I'm on inhalers, and I get nebulizer treatments and inhalers. I've had all of that,
Wait a
and
minute.
it's just and like I said, I don't want to make it seem like I've got it all figured out, or this hasn't been a journey, because it's been a lifetime journey.
Me 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's so.
2 days ago. I'm at the job. I can't breathe. I'm just taking 2 steps. I picked up one piece of equipment and I'm like, went into asthma attack. And they had to get a nebulizer treatment because I couldn't get my wheezing and my breathing together.
And there's so much in the environment, even if it's not just your food, but number one food,
Yeah.
dairy should
Yeah.
not be anywhere around any. But it's like I said, it's so much. But
Yeah.
it's at least what the biggest thing you can have at it is the awareness.
Yeah.
As long as you have the awareness that your food choices and these things matter, then you can start to make change. But so many people are just eat any and everything. Like I said, I've been at McDonald's getting bacon, egg, and cheese, a sausage, egg, and cheese on biscuit, hash brown,
One of
and
my
a big sweet tea for breakfast. In the
Yeah.
same day, going for lunch, Big Mac, fries, sweet tea, dinner. Fish fillet might be a little healthy, I always joke and say, which is not true, but I've had that breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks in between, and I couldn't breathe. I've been there. So I absolutely know. And also be give yourself grace, because nothing no state that you're in did you get here overnight. It's a whole lifetime of learning and misinformation, and
Mhm.
we just gotta, that's what I say, we gotta do this, get the information out there. Then there's so many other places to go with this. Then you got kids, you got women's health, reproductive health, all the issues that we go through just as women, and
Yeah.
women in heart disease and cancer, and the there's so much. So we
God.
can do this all day. But I just want people to know that you do have power in your food choices
Yeah.
to start to feel better.
Yes.
And that if you're feeling a way and you go into the doctor to try to figure it out and they're not helping you, you got to start with your food choices. Even if it's just getting rid of a lot of it. Fasting also is powerful and healing. And like for me, if ever I was dealing with something that was that I thought was anything, and I'm not even, that's another thing, like I just said, speaking only things that you want. But to heal, like get out of, if you're in a stressful environment, if somebody said, look, it's either this or you're not going to be here in a couple months, or if you get a diagnosis that is something that is life changing, you take yourself, you got to change things. Nothing changes unless you change. And
Yeah.
there's no pills you're going to take that's going to change years of accumulated damage. You have to get yourself in a healing environment, and the body can quickly starts to respond.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm sorry, talk a
No,
lot.
you did. No, that was good because it led right into the next question, which is, what are some go-to meals or snacks you would recommend for entrepreneurs who are always on the go but still want to fuel their bodies? Because I know we're talking about eat healthy, but a lot of time, like you said, is if you just don't know, you like what's in front of us. Like you said, the ads are all about these things that are negative. We don't hear the good things or the good alternatives that we should be doing. We just don't hear them.
Well, one is kind of probably turning off the TV and the
Yeah,
social media, all that stuff. That's it too. But just grabbing foods, again, things that you can identify, going in the produce aisle. And yes, we should stay with organic and non-GMO as much as we can. But it's having, like, tend to have nuts around. I have even just having a sweet potato, something that you can grab. But the fruits, the vegetables, things that, or if you're making a green smoothie, let it be stuff that's more like the kale and the spinach and the things that are going to get you the nutrient dense food. I eat a lot of mushrooms, and I'm, like I said, my journey is ongoing. When I first stopped eating meat, I was eating more like Beyond and Impossible and different I just replaced meat with other forms of meat, and I wasn't doing more whole foods. But really the only way to truly heal is the whole food, plant-based, like plant predominant, and like there's no food police coming to get anybody, but just know that like I said, every bite matters.
Matters.
And it's like changing, taking the time when you make the decision that you're going to change to clean up your environment. And that's everything. Having a snack with you, even if it's just a couple of nuts or an orange or an apple or something with you, so that you're not tempted to go to that candy bar or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that answered.
It did, because I have one friend who does photo booths, and we always talk about because we out late night and what's open, Wawa.
But even if you go in Wawa, like the places they have some healthier options. It's still better to get, like, if there's somebody's got some celery and some I mean, you do have to do a little bit more work. I'm
Yeah.
gonna sit here and say not preparing. Like, I just traveled. You asked me again. I was away and flying. Like, I can't just grab anything. Even in the airport, almost everything in a package has something that I react to. So I
Mm.
have to prepare. So when I left, I had a bag of sweet peppers and I had hummus. That's what I took on the plane. So you have to, you can
Yeah.
save you.
And
Can't look for everybody else to do it. And that's through like education and preparedness, because there really is no
I
other way.
had a friend, he carried what do you call it, a cooler in his car, because he's like, you just never know. I want to be able to, if I needed a snack, I got it as I just grab it. So carrots, like you said, vegetables, fruit, keep it in the cooler. And then if you need a snack, you got it. You don't have to pull over and try to find something that ain't there, because that's the other thing. It's just a lot of
Or
times it's
if
just not
you
there.
go to a Smoothie King, if you have to go somewhere to get something, try to make sure it's the stuff like having a banana. Banana is like,
Yeah.
there's so much that there's there's so many plants out there that there's really no excuse. It's just trying to figure out how to navigate all the other stuff
Yeah.
to block those things out.
That
And
part. Looking at fruit and those French fries.
but
Mm.
what what's gonna lead to, if you want to be in a position to be the best version of you, your best healthiest self, what's
Right.
gonna get you there? And you gotta look at it like everybody, and especially if you're not feeling well and you're dealing with different things, or you have fear because all your family members had a heart attack or diabetes, and there's things that you want to avoid. You gotta do the work.
The work.
You have to do the work. And it's, like I say, YouTube is full of information. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of garbage information out there too. And so that's why I'm also hoping to create an app and a platform where people can go to, instead of just Googling, they can go to like more trusted sources. And like but right now you have Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. You have different doctors that this is their life's work to, nutritionfacts.org. If you are looking for information that's reputable, and there's books, there's different physicians that deal with different, like Dr. Brooke Goldner, she deals with autoimmune disease and lupus. There's people, like I said, I'm not an expert, but one thing I have done is I've found those experts and I can direct you to them. And we just, once you know better, you have to do better.
Mhm.
Said
Yep.
nobody's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves, because
Absolutely.
that leads you to a very good documentary. They're trying to kill us. I don't know if you watched it, but Badass Vegan. It's him.
Uh,
It's the hip hop community and them talking about this, because they are trying to kill us. So once you know that, it helps you to navigate better. But just not being aware and thinking that these things are just happening, like every day somebody's got breast cancer or a heart attack, or said we're burying too many people that shouldn't even be sick, and we're going to doctors for answers. They give us pills for things that do not even have to exist,
right.
but
Right.
only you can determine your health.
It's true. It's true. And then just like kind of closing out, it's a two-part. Well, what is a piece of advice you would give to an entrepreneur who is, well, you kind of did that. Well, kind of like me, and kind of like the people that are going to listen to this podcast. You just probably awaken a lot of people. You know, telling your story, giving us. I've been trying to write down all these resources.
Let me. I
I'm,
didn't.
I'm going to ask you to
Did
sit
you show the picture? Let me find a picture when I.
with all this stuff down here. I would love for you to give me like a list of some of these resources that I can add under the comments when I post this
Look
video.
here.
Wow.
Ooh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one.
There goes our inspiration right there.
Let's see here. I'm gonna show you this real quick. All right.
Wait, it went away. It went away. Oh, oh wow. It was a video. Okay. That's not you. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I was, like I said, I couldn't breathe. I was sick, in pain. My bladder, that situation with my bladder, that was 13 years of daily, like, fire in my bladder. And remove gluten. I don't take the medication. I don't take medication now. I take supplements. Like I take, because the only thing you can't get from plant sources, you need to take vitamin B12 and
Mhm.
vitamin D, because you can't. Vitamin B12 is made by bacteria, not by the plants or the animals. And people always ask that question, the famous question when you go to these conferences, places everywhere, is where you get your protein. Like everything is protein. All plant sources give you the protein. If you eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, seeds, beans, nuts, you get what you need as
Yeah.
long as you're eating a variety of things. But you don't need cow's milk. You don't need any animal protein. It's actually, it's harmful. And it's not me saying it. It's the science and the people that have been studying these things for years. And the thing is, if you don't want to believe any of this, just try more whole foods,
Mhm.
less ultra processed foods, getting more sleep, and see how you feel.
Me
Like
too.
I've had one-to-one conversations with people that seem to want me to convince them that eating this way is better. I'm not here to convince you or share with you. Try it yourself. See how you feel. That's the best advice I can give. And if you have anything going on, you said, even the number one thing, even before all the animal products, that dairy, that is, I think, the most harmful thing that's in our diets, because the cheese and
Start there.
that. If you don't do anything else, get rid of
Anything else? Where should we start? You said dairy. Just
dairy.
get yourself off.
Dairy.
Okay.
Dairy. And then if you have issues with your skin, with your how you're feeling, also gluten. But getting rid of processed packaged things tends to get rid of that. And just like I said, eating whole foods that you can identify, things that the body can identify and break down.
Okay.
And that's the best advice where to start.
I love it. I love it. I'm so happy we did this, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you taking the time and doing my podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank
So
you for having me.
thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes,
Because I know you will be returning to the conference, but
absolutely.
other things. Tell us about what you have coming up. I know you mentioned the book. You did your own event.
I
And we're
did.
gonna keep that going.
My event, it was just a small, I call it a dine and learn, where I had a little, like 22 ladies came and just heard kind of what we just talked about. Told them my story. I fed them we had a nice plant-based, gluten-free meal, and we talked a little bit more just to get, again, the awareness out there. And why I did that, I was nervous to do it, but I did it because I met a young lady who had made a decision to have a surgery. She removed her thyroid, but she told me the night before that surgery, she was online and she was saying, I don't think I should do this.
Oh wow.
She did it because that's what the doctors told her to do. And like I said, you give yourself grace because you don't know what you don't know, but also know that if all you do is have a surgery and you didn't change anything,
Yeah.
whatever happened to lead to that is
Right.
going to get
Come
you, it's
back.
going to be somewhere else. If
Yeah.
it's not your thyroid or your breast or your pancreas, it's going to be something. And we just also got to stop looking at the body as these separate systems.
Yeah.
It's a whole person, and everything matters. It's all connected. Like we're all connected to everything and it all matters.
Yeah.
It's the whole person. So
Wow. Well, I appreciate you and thank you so much. And I'll share this video with you. And I would love to get more resources from you to add to the comments and things like that. And how can people get in touch with you?
the switchnutritionlab.com.
All right.
That's my information is there. So more like a landing page than a full website. I'm working on that because, like I said, I want to create some resources for people to go to. But that's where what I'm doing now is just talking to anybody who wants to hear it to know that, you have the power with food as medicine to make yourself better.
Oh, well, thank you. And I know my listeners are going to enjoy this episode so much. So, and
Thank you very much.
do a Money Making Monday. And like I said, if you don't feel good, you're not going to get out there and be a productive person, let alone an entrepreneur. So I would love to have you in our small group where, they can chit chat and ask you questions back and forth. So,
All right. Well, I love that.
Okay. Yay.
Thank you. And I'm sorry if it was overwhelming. That's part of
Oh, you were fine.
try to figure out where to focus, but it's just there's so much. And even if you just take, I think it takes one little thing and makes any change, they'll start to do better. And just also like advocate for yourself and listen to your body. And if anything you're told, even if it's if you happen to be in a that person, because I had a lump removed almost, my daughter's 19, so almost 20 years ago. Unless there's certain things that may be more of an emergency, but if you go and you just, like I said, mammogram, that's a whole nother conversation. But if you find a lump, there's no emergency there. It didn't just get there yesterday. It takes, by the time a lump shows up on a mammogram, by the time it's detectable, it's maybe been growing 10 to 15 years. So there's no emergency. Always get a second opinion, maybe a third, and just know that there's always ways to make things better. And there's places and people that are dedicated to helping you heal naturally, holistically, and not with just medicine. Like I said, medicine has a place, especially in emergency medicine. Things have a place, but it's the food.
Thank you for saying that.
So
appreciate that. Sometimes people say things like that and it doesn't register. And until you go through it and, having a family member have cancer and you immediately go into
everybody nowadays, everybody knows somebody that's not just had cancer, but they've lost somebody that's had cancer or heart disease. But there's just things and that's one of the biggest reasons why I want to do this, because with the awareness, then you can make different choices and not just go, something that's gonna kill. Because a lot of times, especially with cancer, breast cancer, it's not the cancer that kills us, it's the treatment. It's the chemo.
Going through it right now. Yeah.
We just gotta.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like a lot of stuff that I could say is completely foreign. It's not what's out there in the mainstream. It's not what's taught, but it has to be, because like I said, we have to take the time to realize that there's nothing just happening to us. It's happening, but it's been a process to get to wherever you are in whatever health condition that you're in. So, and there's always, hope, no matter what somebody says to you, no matter what a diagnosis is, because that's their opinion. I've talked to people recently where a doctor's told somebody they have a set time to live, and that is ridiculous in itself, because nobody knows that. And that's something, like I said, you have to talk to your body, and you have to believe, number one, if you want to be healed, you have to believe that you can be healed and that you can be well. And you have to tell your body that, because your cells are listening. So all of it matters. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we'll talk soon.
All right. See you.
All right. Bye. Hold on. I'm going to end it.